Hello friends, my name is Caleb and I want to try to help you solve a problem that you have and a problem that I have, and that problem is too many books, not enough time. Too many books, not enough time. That is one of our big issues today in the world of digital media and the world of print industry and the world of just flat out being busy. Is there's so many books, there's not enough time. So what we want to talk about is how to get the essence out of a book in about 10 minutes. Now, this is sort of a preliminary or even an introduction to a larger course that I've done on how to read a book. So if this video you find helpful, if the things I bring up in it you find helpful, then I would highly encourage you to go and get your hands on the longer course that I do that's nearly 3 hours that talks about how to read a book. So this isn't speed reading, this is x-raying, it's examining, it's getting the essence out of the main points of a book in order for you to be able to decide, is it worth my time to read the book or to just say, this is interesting, but I don't have the time right now to commit to reading the book, so I'll just do a quick 10-minute blast through it. And then in that 10 minutes, at least I'll have a working knowledge of what the book is about. So first of all, what you want to do is pick a book. Now, I have got in my hand this one. It's a book off my shelf. So I have not read this book, but I also have this book, which is another book off my shelf. This book I have gone through. But both of them, I'm going to show you examples of how to get something out of this book. Even though I've not read it, it'll be helpful for you. So like I said, this will be about hopefully 10 minutes or so is all it's going to take to be able to say, hey, I've had a look at that book and I know what it is that Travis Wright and Chris J. Snook are saying in it, and you're confident in that, right? So why does this matter? We live in a world, I've already mentioned, that has an abundance of print material. We have huge amounts of information being thrown at us all the time. You can subscribe to podcasts, you can subscribe to YouTube channels. You're on YouTube right now watching this. You can get your information from a variety of places. Now, I would recommend that still, even with YouTube, podcasts, and all these things, the best way to get a holistic view of what a person has to say is still by a book. So when you pick this up and when you open it up and read it, you're actually going to get what that person has to say in, I think, the fullest way possible. So this is not any kind of magic trick. It's not, like I say, tricking your brain into doing some kind of speed reading exercise. What this is helping you to read smarter and more strategic. So it's still a bit of work. You still have to concentrate for, a good 10 or 15 minutes to get through this. But it's determining what's there without actually reading the entire book. So let's have a look. We are going to go through this book right now and you'll see how this works. Now remember, I do have a whole course on how to read a book, which is not a speed reading course. It covers a few of these principles that we're going to talk about today, but that course is really about getting your head around what the author is saying and engaging with the author and with the book through the words that are written so you can challenge your own thinking with what the author is trying to say. So here we go. Let's look at this book. This is Digital Sense. First thing you want to do is the outside work, okay? Now bear in mind that it's a mental shift. You're not reading the whole book. You're telling yourself, shift mentally. I'm only trying to find the highlights. I'm only trying to find the key ideas. So you're going to start with outside. Outside the book, then you're going to go to inside the book. So on the outside, you want to first look at the front cover and the back cover. Those are your two primary locations. Front cover, in this case, has a very large subtitle. So it's called Digital Sense. It's by Travis Wright and by Chris J. Snook. And what it says is it's the common sense approach to effectively blending social business strategy marketing technology and customer experience. Okay? It's the common sense approach to effectively blending social business strategy, marketing technology, and customer experience, with a foreword by Brian Solis. Now, automatically that tells you that it's not a book about computers per se. It's called Digital Sense, but that doesn't mean you're going to learn how to use a computer. It's a book about business strategy, marketing technology, and customer experience. So already you're on the right track. The author is telling you up front. Now, on the back, this one has quite a few endorsements. Now, there's a number of endorsements here that might help you to get a grip of what the book is about. For instance, this one here from Stuart Rogers. He says right out the gate, if you think I'm going to give a positive, biased review of this book solely because I host a podcast with Travis Wright, the author, you would be wrong. In fact, working closely with him over the years makes me more critical of his work. So let me say this. Digital Sense is not chock full of generic vanilla advice. This book is stuffed to the rafters with everything you need strategically and tactically to succeed in today's digital marketing minefield, illustrated throughout and inspirational and practical case studies. So again, this tells you there's a lot of illustrations in it. This tells you it's about digital marketing. This tells you that it is full of practical case studies. So hopefully you're going to say to yourself, oh, well, in that case, it must be pretty well documented if they're using a bunch of case studies to back up the principles that they are trying to get me to understand in their Digital Sense book. Let's look at one more. This is from Robert Scoble. This book equips managers and professional communicators with new tools to increase customer satisfaction and even employee happiness. The book keeps you from being a digital mess up and making mistakes that can cause deep pain for those who watch over a company's reputation. So that's interesting. Apparently this book is dealing with the holistic approach to a company. What is your reputation? What is it you're trying to present to your customers? What is it that you want your customers to know about you as a company? Your values as a company, as a business, things like that. Let's just look at one more. Brian Kramer, best-selling author, keynote, and TED speaker, and CEO. The old Brian Kramer. In order to truly succeed as a human organization, you must create organization-wide digital sense, and this book gives you a playbook and the inspiration to lead that transformation. So, he's saying this book is good for creating organization-wide digital sense. Well, I mean, the book is called Digital Sense, so he's kind of grabbed a hold of the catchphrase in the book. All right, so now we've looked at the front cover, we've looked at the back cover. Maybe you're not into digital marketing. Maybe you're not into having any kind of business impact in the world. Maybe, so at this point, you may say, look, I just want to work as a mailman or something like that. And so you can safely set this book aside and know that it's not for you. But what if you are someone who wants to have a business and you need to use the digital world, the internet, to make your business more attractive to your customer base and things like that? Well, now you're probably wanting to get your hands on this book. By the way, this book was written in 2017, so it's not a new book. It's 8 years old. So it probably doesn't deal in any great depth with anything related to how AI can help us today, although it does mention AI in the book, so I'm sure a lot of it is still relevant. So we're still dealing with the outside of the book, but the outside of the book also covers its opening chapters. So let's now look at the table of contents. In this case, the table of contents is broken down into several sections. Section 1 is overview. Section 2 is building a customer-centric organization. Section 3 is social business strategies and tactics. Section 4 is data and automation. Section 5 is future proofing. So there's 5 sections. Now that seems pretty logical what they have laid out here. They've got a basic overview of what they want to say as authors. They're building a customer-centric organization. Typically with a book, you present your primary thesis up front. You present the thing that you want to emphasize the most up front, and then you break it down as you go from there. And so we know automatically that it's about building a customer-centric organization. So I would imagine it's going to talk a lot about values, how you are perceived by the public as a company, that kind of thing. And then it goes into social business strategies. So again, social business. It's a book called Digital Sense. So it's talking about how you can interact with society on a digital platform and then conduct business back and forth. What are the strategies and tactics for that? And then in the end, it begins to wrap it up with data and automation. So that's probably best practices. Now, each one of these sections has multiple chapters to it. So for instance, data and automation just has chapter 13, but it says designing your ultimate marketing stack, how to build a solid MarTech stack. And then it's got a bunch of terminology that you would have to really read the section in order to understand what it's about. But I will say this, as you look through the chapter, I mean, notice how many subsections there are under each chapter heading. So this is the kind of book you can pick up and you hardly get 2 pages into any general location and there's already another subheading. So you wouldn't necessarily have to sit down and say, oh, it's like 5-6 pages until the next subheading. You could probably read this a little bit at a time, 2 or 3 subheadings a day if you want to. And if you did decide you wanted to read the whole book. So after you read the front cover, after you read the back cover, you jump into the table of contents. Skim through the table of contents and say, okay, this is definitely presenting a well thought out, a well laid out approach to digital marketing and what its main emphasis is, which appears to be emphasizing the customer, emphasizing your target audience. That's what it's aiming toward. The next thing you want to do is to look at the preface, the foreword, and the introduction. Now, the introduction is going to transition us from the outside of the book to the inside of the book. So in this case, we do have a foreword, and we also have a preface, and we also have an introduction. But I did notice in the table of contents that it says specifically who this book is for. And I want to say it was on, yes, page 9. Page 9 tells you right there who this book is for. So this book could be for you. Let's just quickly have a look at it. Our goal for Digital Sense is to empower all executives, marketers, internal change agents, and entrepreneurs with a framework and structure to build an amazing work culture that aligns the customer needs to the major business goals in a sustainable way that delivers both reliability to the customer experience across all channels and a method to operationalize innovation more effectively. This book was written for the executive of a growing or large organization to illuminate the robustness of the techniques discussed and empower you to lead from wherever you are in the organizational chart to help you defend against the coming disruptions to your existence. Wow. Help you defend against the coming disruptions to your existence. That's pretty heavy stuff. It also says the book was written for the founder entrepreneur or early stage company leader building a vision from the ground up to take on an inefficient and impersonal giant in the industry. So he's writing this for people who are already involved in business who perhaps need to have a reset or a refresh on the digital marketing space. He's also written it for people who are just starting out. So he's saying, look, this book will get you going on the right foot when it comes to a digital presence in the world. You will have good digital sense. And then it says here, however, we wrote this book for anyone who wishes to do what you love in the service of those who love what you do. So if you're basically starting a business, this is the book for you. Now, we've looked at the outside of the book. We've looked at the forward or the opening little bits of the book, and now we've read exactly what it says here, who this book is for. Now we want to see what the book is about. So let's go to the first chapter of the book. Chapter 1 is overview. So he talks a bit about zombies and things, but before we get too far, now we're not going to really read the introduction to the book. But what you want to do when you're dealing with the inside of the book is, if it's a short introduction, like for instance in this book, The Intellectuals, he literally tells you, let's shift to this guy. He literally tells you in the first paragraph what the premise of the book is. So now this is The Intellectuals by Paul Johnson. Very different beast to Digital Sense by Travis Wright and Chris J. Snook. So let's look at the outside inside of this book. Outside, Paul Johnson, New York Times bestseller. Intellectuals, from Marx to Tolstoy, from Sartre to Chomsky. Obviously, he's dealing with some heavy hitters here. I mean, these are people that we know. We all know who Karl Marx is, Leo Tolstoy is, and I hope you know who Jean-Paul Sartre is, and Chomsky. These guys are intellectuals. He's dealing with a group of people that the average, body of common social knowledge thinks are intellectual people. Then on the back, it says, a fascinating portrait of the minds that have shaped the modern world. In an intriguing series of case studies, Rousseau, Shelley, Marx, Ibsen, Tolstoy, Hemingway, Bertrand Russell, Brecht, and it goes on. Among others, are revealed as intellectuals both brilliant and contradictory, magnetic and dangerous. So there you go. Are these people magnetic and dangerous? I mean, is Bertrand Russell or Ernest Hemingway, are these people both brilliant and dangerous, magnetic and contradictory? This is what Paul Johnson is trying to say. According to the blurbs on the back, Publishers Weekly said, these pummeling profiles of illustrious intellectuals are caustic, skewed, thought-provoking, and thoroughly engaging. Now, that's an interesting description of the book. But Paul Johnson tells us in chapter 1 on Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and he tells us in the very first paragraph, over the past 200 years, the influence of intellectuals has grown steadily. Indeed, the rise of the secular intellectual has been a key factor in shaping the modern world. Seen against the long perspective of history, it is in many ways a new phenomenon. And it is true that in their earlier incarnations as priests, scribes, and soothsayers, intellectuals have laid claim to guide society from the very beginning. But as guardians and hierarchic cultures, whether primitive or sophisticated, their moral and ideological innovations were limited by the canons of external authority and by the inheritance of tradition. They were not and could not be free spirits, adventurers of the mind. So automatically he tells us that his intellectuals on his list are people that have broken away from tradition, have broken away from external authority, and they're seeking to tell society that they have a way to live life that will benefit the whole of society. That's the premise of Paul Johnson's book. Later on, he says, for the first time in human history, and with growing confidence and audacity, men arose to assert that they could diagnose the ills of society and cure them with their own unaided intellects. So he's lumping Karl Marx, Ernest Hemingway, Leo Tolstoy, all into they're under a common umbrella of people who say, my intellect is able to present to society a way to live that will cure its common ills. That's an interesting position to take. It's an interesting interpretation on those people, and Paul Johnson attacks it in this book. So now this book is very different than this book. Do you want to jump into Digital Sense, or do you want to jump into the intellectuals who have framed our modern society and the way we think about things? This book might give you a better sense of where we've come from. This book will probably give you a better sense of where we're going. So now that we've looked at the outside and we've begun to look at the inside, when you look at the inside of a book, let's jump back over here to Digital Sense. The inside of a book, you want to start looking at charts, bullet points, headings. You want to skim the chapters. So in looking at this book, it is packed full of headings and, like, for instance, right here, this particular page. Can I see you over the top of my book? This particular page has a lot on it. We have five steps to develop an ABM program. So it says here, the vast majority of ABM practicing companies are enterprise-level brands with more than 1,000 employees. Smaller companies can benefit from it. Number 1, identify target companies. Number 2, develop personas. Number 3, find or create the right content. Number 4, integrate your ABM into your multi-channel strategy. And 5, measure and optimize. Now again, you are not reading this book for any depth. You're going through a 10 to 15 minute super speed skim. So what's ABM? I have no idea. I've not read the book, neither than you. You and I just picked up a random page. But is it enough to warrant reading the whole book? He's got on these 2 pages, this is page 160 and 161, he has Digital Bit. For deeper insights into ABM, check out John Miller's Engagio ebook at engagio.com/guide. And then he's got another Digital Bit. We found that if you are advertising an article or news to a client of yours, it gets way more clicks if you use a picture of their CEO in the main image. Or Digital Bit. We host monthly webinars on case studies, how-to-dos just like this. And if you would like alerts to upcoming video presentations, join our list at digitalsense.webinars. So they're advertising for themselves in the book. But what it's doing, you've just discovered, okay, maybe there are a lot of practical tips in this book. I'm interested in starting a digital business. I maybe need to get my hands on this and have a look and see if I can get some strategies going out of this thing. So you're looking for headlines, you're looking for headings, you're looking for lists, you're looking for bullet points. I mean, here, I just turned 3 pages, and now what do I have? Influencer marketing tech is fragmented. Trend number 1, decline of advertising due to massive increase in ad blockers globally. Trend number 2, rise of influencer programs is leading to greater need for efficiencies, improving ROI, or rate of investment, return on investment. Trend number 3, key trend number 3, CMOs are driving the budget increase in marketing technology spend. So it's giving you loads of trends. So, okay, it's wanting you to stay on top of what's happening around you. Maybe you've now got an idea of saying, oh, I should probably subscribe to an email list from a company that watches market trends and see if I need to be more savvy in how I have presented things. Do I need to change somewhere, somehow, some way? So you're flipping through the book. If a headline catches your eye, then have a stop and have a little read of it. But if it doesn't, keep moving. I mean, this thing really is full of a lot of graphics. I mean, in the pages I was flipping right now, I came across like screenshots from four different sources with photographs and things like that. So they really do try to give you up-to-date information on what they have presented at the time they wrote the book, which of course, humans are humans. I believe humans are humans. And so the humans from 10 years ago when this book was written to today haven't changed, but the environment in which we live changes and the way we reach them changes, but it still boils down in many ways to a lot of strategies about addressing people's pain points and grabbing them with an emotional hook. So it says here, we all want the same simple pleasures. So what was I just saying? Humans are humans. We all want the same simple pleasures. Customers who engage with companies over social media spend 20 to 40% more money than with those companies than other customers. Ready to put the customer back into the customer service touchpoint? The following fundamentals are a great place to start. Number one, transparency. Customers want price and support transparency. Number two, genuine hospitality. A customer can instantly see through a sales pitch. Number three, zero pressure. The day of pushy sales tactics are over. Number four, easy, secure transactions. People want to just, like Amazon's really good at that. Easy and secure transactions. Number five, a comfortable shopping experience. Number six, empathy. So these are things that just hit you as you go through the book. Obviously, you're getting a sense of what the book is about. Now, we have looked at the outside. We've looked at the inside, the introduction, the first chapter, the conclusion of this book. You want to read the first chapter and the conclusion. Paul Johnson has a conclusion here as well. But when I got to the end of his book, the conclusion was a little bit open-ended. It's, it's down to like, well, okay, here's all these sad people that we've just been reading about. I was a little bit down when I got to the end of this book. I was wanting it to get to the end so that I could just put it down and not have to look at it too much again after that. But this book, it ends with a look toward the future. It's got a chapter on looking ahead. And so it wants you to be looking at where you've been. It wants you to be looking at what you're doing and how you can do it better. And it wants you to be looking ahead because it's a book for people in business. And so business people have to be looking ahead. What is there down the road that I need to be addressing? And then you want to look for charts. You want to look for bullet points. You want to look for headings. You want to skim perhaps some key chapters. But in the end, after your 10 minutes of examining, which probably took us longer because I've been talking this entire time, if you're in a bookstore and you were to pick up this book, you could do what I just talked about in 10 minutes. What you want to do then is you want to say, okay, this book is about X. It may be called Digital Sense, but it's basically a book on digital marketing. This book is arguing for Y. Is arguing Y, X, Y, Z. The book is about X, it's arguing Y, its main solution is Z. It's arguing customer first. Let people be people. I think we saw that as we were looking at the book. No pushy sales. People want an easy shopping experience. People want to know that you're a real human. That's what I just read in those bullet points. Plus, it's written by humans as well. Plus, it understands that the digital age is pretty cold and pretty impersonal. So how can you get the personal across in an impersonal medium? And then finally, the main solution, which I think I just mentioned. How do you get the impersonal across how do you get the personal across through an impersonal medium when your customer base is spread out all over the world? You're not going into, Jack and Jill's general store and there's Jack and there's Jill selling you something and that's your day-to-day shopping experience. It's not like that. I mean, who do you know in Amazon? Most of Amazon is run by automation. So why do you go there? What pain point is Amazon trying to solve? Are they trustworthy? So anyway, Digital Sense is trying to get that across. What's the book about? Digital marketing. What is it arguing for? Customer first approach, human to human through the medium of digital. What's its main solution? How would you want to be treated? That's probably the essence of this book. Now that we've gone through it, let me give you a bonus. That covers the book itself. You can put this book back on the shelf at the bookstore and you can walk away from it, and then later in the day you can remember, oh yeah, I was looking at that book. I often take a photograph with my phone of a book that maybe I'm interested in that I can get back to later. But at this point, what you can do, this is bonus. Let's say you happen to be at a library or somewhere, or even at home. I mean, maybe you got this book at a used bookstore for $2, and you just walked out the door with it because you had a quick front back. Ooh, that looks kind of interesting. And I've done that lots of times. I've looked at a book for literally 30 seconds and decided I wanted to buy it if it was at a used bookstore or a thrift store and it was $2 or something like that. But what you want to do is have a note card system. So just in pursuing this, perusing this book, I got 2 note cards out of it. Now, I keep a note card file called a Zettelkasten system. And in that, I keep notes of interesting ideas and things I've come across. That's a whole nother topic. But I did create a card for Digital Sense. So I can put that in my book slot of my Zettelkasten card retrieval system. So now I know that I've looked at the book, and I can make a note on it based on everything I just gleaned. The second thing I did when I was flipping through the book earlier is I came across the law of compensation, which I thought was quite interesting, and I had a read of it, and I was fascinated by it, so I created a card for that as well. Those are going to go into my Zettelkasten system, so I can reference them later. And I even wrote at the bottom that I got it from the book Digital Sense by Wright and Snook. So there we go. That's a little bit of a bonus. If you've looked at a book and you can remember, so take a quick photograph of it, go home, make a note, say, hey, one day I might like to get my hands on that book, or I might reference it. I might look it up online, see if there's a Kindle version of it or something like that. You can do that too. So that completes now our essencing a book in 10 minutes. Now, let me review it. Discover the book structure. So remember looking for the main ideas. You're not reading the book, you're looking for main ideas. Number 3, you do the outside of the book, front cover, back cover, table of contents, maybe the introduction. You look at the inside of the book. From the introduction, look at the first chapter, look at the last chapter, and then you do spot checking. You look for charts, you look for bullet points, you skim a few points in the chapters. You look for headings that give you information about where the book is going and what it's doing. And in the end, you're saying to yourself, this book is about X. It argues for Y. The main solution is Z. So this book is about intellectuals, Tolstoy, Karl Marx, whoever. This book is arguing that you look at their life and compare it to their writings. This book's main solution is, what do you do now with these people? They've impacted society. I would say the main solution of this book is, what it made me think when I read it was, you should learn to love your neighbor as yourself. Make sure that your words are backed up by your conduct and your action, because the people in this book, it's not the way it is at all. So there we go. Now that I've gone through all that, if you would like to take advantage of my full course, not a hard sell. All you got to do is have a look and click on the link. But I do have a course called How to Read a Book, and you're welcome to take advantage of it. Hopefully this video you found interesting and helpful, and you will now quickly be able to examine a book and get its essence. If that's what you're after, fantastic. If you want to know more, please check out How to Read a Book, link below. Thank you very much.